Republicans run out of stalling tactics to stop Democrats' new oil and gas regulations. Mayor Hancock's administration sent a political critic a cease and desist letter. He's sending them a copy of the Constitution. Speaking of getting rolled, CSU's forestry team dives into an event they've never tried. Becky Ditchfield brings her inspirational message against trolls to a national audience. And the experts say that ignoring teen suicide is asking for more. So we will take up a topic that is as difficult as it is important. Next. Let's do tonight's top story like one of those choose-your-own-adventure books I read as a kid. 2 headlines, and you choose your favorite. Headline 1, Colorado Democrats ensure health and safety in communities impacted by oil and gas operations. Or if you prefer, headline 2, Colorado Democrats defy the will of the people to pass job-killing regulations. You get to live in whichever world you prefer, but here are the facts. Today, Democrats' oil and gas bill passed the House. It'll soon be in front of Governor Jared Polis. It's going to allow state regulators to put an indefinite pause on new permits. And then individual communities can do as they please. So if Adams County wants to ban new oil and gas development, so be it. And if Weld County wants to let the good times roll, so be it. Hey, if you are placing bets on just how much of the Democrats' aggressive agenda they're going to get through the state legislature this year, you might bet against a bill that has not yet been introduced. That is kind of the point. Here's Marshall Zellinger.
This is what legal gambling looks like in Colorado, even after last year's Supreme Court ruling allowing states to have sports gambling just like in Vegas.
We want to generate some revenue for the state to go towards some of our most needed priorities.
Democratic Representative Alec Garnett, the House Majority Leader, has wanted legalized sports betting in Colorado since his tweet the same day the Supreme Court said we could do it. He still hasn't introduced his bill yet, but plans to do so by the end of the session in May. His bill would allow some casinos to have sports gambling, but mainly it would allow you to do it from your home.
The brick and mortar is not the future of sports gaming. If you go to the UK, where they've had sports gaming forever, it's all online now. You rarely ever go to a physical window and get a ticket.
So here's what has to happen to legalize sports gambling in Colorado. Lawmakers must first pass Garnett's bill that would strike the current state law that makes sports gambling illegal. The bill would also give the Department of Revenue authority to issue sports gambling licenses, but that would be contingent on voters approving a gambling tax. Garnett still hasn't figured out how much the tax will be. So let's say lawmakers pass the bill and the governor signs it. Then it ends up on the November ballot, where voters will need to approve the tax on sports gambling revenue.
If this is something Colorado wants, then they can, vote for it through the tax. And if they don't want it, then it will all go away if the tax isn't passed.
If they do pass the still unknown tax, sports gambling would be legal in Colorado and could start by the next Super Bowl. That's a lot to get past voters. And the selling point might be what the tax will pay for. Will it be general fund for anything? Will it be specifically for schools or roads? That's still undecided. But Kyle, getting a tax passed statewide since 1992 has been very limited. We've only done it on sin taxes like gambling.
Aha!
Pot and cigarettes.
Yeah, that's what everybody always says. You can't pass a tax increase in Colorado unless you want to tax something sinful. All right. Thank you, Marshall. A well-known and controversial figure in the Denver Police Department is leaving DPD to become the chief in Yakima, Washington. Lieutenant Matt Murray's new gig was announced today. He was demoted from deputy chief last year. Murray was investigated for withholding public records from journalists, and he apologized for a tweet that was interpreted as DPD steering citizens away from a free and independent press. A legend in Denver politics says his official response to the city sending him a cease and desist letter will be to mail Mayor Michael Hancock's administration a copy of the First Amendment. Former city auditor Dennis Gallagher was hit with that cease and desist by the city's legal team after Gallagher mass emailed city employees from his private account urging them all to vote against Mayor Hancock for re-election. The city acknowledges Gallagher didn't do anything illegal, they just thought it was inappropriate. Gallagher told me, quote, "The pot needed a good stir." Hancock faces several challengers in a May election. Former Governor John Hickenlooper will be on Meet the Press on 9 News Sunday. He will surely be questioned about whether he is too cozy with oil and gas interests, whether he is green enough for blue America. Hickenlooper proudly announced his opposition this week to the Green New Deal that was voted on in Congress.
It was overloaded with other priorities, things like the federal jobs guarantee. And I think if we're really going to succeed, we have to be laser focused. I think would have had a hard time getting through Congress, might have ended up in the courts. We've got to go. We should have the highest sense of urgency possible and really keep a sharp focus on making sure we prioritize all the steps that are going to be needed to combat climate change in real time.
There's no way to say this without sounding like an ad, but if we're going to tell you that Hick's going to be on Meet the Press, I should tell you that it airs Sunday at 9 a.m. on 9 News. Yeah, it sounded like an ad.
Our next question today comes from Steve. He asks, has anyone looked into the story that Evergreen is not a town or a city? It's just a wide spot with a name.
What you got against Evergreen, Steve? U.S. Census Bureau says that Evergreen is a census-designated place, CDP. It's used to mark a populated area that has a name, but no legally defined boundary. Now, I asked the Evergreen Chamber of Commerce, and they're like, oh, yeah, baby, we're a town.
Evergreen is part of unincorporated Jefferson County. We don't have our own mayor, police force, or hospital, but our zip code 80439 is part of unincorporated Jefferson County and also spreads over into Clear Creek County. We call it a town. The majority of the town of Evergreen is in Jefferson County.
And according to the last U.S. Census, that CDP, census-designated place, had just more than 9,000 residents. Within the last 24 hours, 2 students in our community have taken their own lives, one from Valor Christian High School and another from Cherry Creek. For Cherry Creek, this is the second student suicide in the past 2 months. Our Nelson Garcia met up with a group of friends who are asking for more support.
Those students were on campus at Cherry Creek High School. Classes were suspended, as explained in this letter to parents. Last night, a senior took her own life, the second suicide at this school within 2 months.
It's pretty hard losing friends like that.
Nina Petros and her friends know, because 6 weeks ago, their friend, Jack Padilla, a Cherry Creek freshman, took his own life.
He wasn't afraid to say what he wanted, and he was always there for everybody.
Including his friend, Giovanni Villagrana.
He was a special one. He was always doing the craziest things. He wasn't scared of anything.
But when Jack died,
and we felt like the school just didn't give us enough support for that suicide.
And other suicides that have happened at neighboring schools this year, according to freshman Nicholas Corsi.
So with all these suicides that have been going on, you know, the schools don't really talk about them, but yet they keep happening. So we just want some sort of change. There needs to be something new going on.
In the school letter, district leaders are concerned that suicide can spread like a contagion, putting other students at risk for suicide. They have placed counselors at the school and suspended instruction to focus on supporting students today. In a direct response to the concerned students, the district says, quote, after we help our students and families navigate the present crisis, we will engage our community in a discussion about the epidemic of suicide impacting young people here and across the country.
This is a time when opening up is the best thing that we can do.
Jess Stolman-Rainey directs programs for Rocky Mountain Crisis Partners. She says talking about suicide and the need to get help are crucial.
I think it's really important that we have conversations about the conditions that happen that can cause people to have feelings about wanting to die. I think it's really important to honor the people that we've lost.
Jack's friends, who have created a group called Jack Strong, say they had a meeting scheduled today to talk about their concerns.
Because we were supposed to come and talk to the superintendent this morning about what to do, but that meeting got canceled due to the death.
And then I feel like if we're not giving enough support to each other, then it's just going to keep happening.
Jack's friends are planning a student walk-on next Friday to demonstrate their need for more support regarding suicide. Just for transparency, when I called the Cherry Creek School District this morning, Kyle, the response to us was to ask us to hold off on this story because the Cherry Creek community is in crisis.
So, additionally, for transparency, why did we decide to go ahead with the story and talk about the issue?
Well, it's always a tough topic, but, you know, when we talk about suicide prevention and we talk with our advocates in the community, they say it's better to talk about it, to get it out in the open, and to talk about the positive things, how to get help, and instead of just forgetting about it, that's kind of the old way of dealing with suicides.
Yeah, we are in touch daily with the mental health experts trying to get up to date on what their latest guidance is. All right, Nelson, thank you.
You're welcome.
So with that in mind, know that there is help out there in our community in real time for you or for anyone that you know. This is not a referral. They're not just going to take your name and number. There are people who are willing to talk to you right now. Colorado Crisis Services is 24/7. You can call 1-844-493-8255 or text TALK to 38255. The National Suicide Prevention Line is also available 24 hours a day. That number you see there on your screen as well, 1-800-273-8255.
Well, we have a soggy start to the weekend. This is our camera downtown Denver right now. A little rain, snow mixing in, some gusty winds out there, and temperatures have cooled off dramatically as the storm system pushes in across the Rocky Mountains. I'll take off the satellite layer so you can really see the moisture that's heading toward the ground. Right now, rain and snowfall across the metro area. Snow the further south you go toward the Palmer Divide as you gain some elevation, with some thunderstorms in parts of El Paso and Lincoln counties. But again, around the city, we're looking at a rain-snow mix, just kind of depending where you live. Tonight, temperatures cooling off into the 20s across the metro area, the eastern plains, and teens up in the mountains. This is around 10, 11 o'clock when you see that snowfall around the Front Range Mountains and across the eastern plains. It's with us throughout the overnight period, and then by about 7, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, we wake up to mostly cloudy skies. Maybe a quick off and on shower throughout the day, but by 5 o'clock, everything kind of moves out of the city. It still will be going up in the high country, and then late tomorrow evening, the storm system fully moves out. Right now, I'm looking at about 1 to 3 inches of just wet, slushy snowfall here in the city, some higher amounts further to the south and off to the west. Tomorrow, temperatures cool at 40 degrees. We'll stay in the low 40s across the eastern plains with 20s and 30s up in the mountains. Sunday looks pretty good at 50 with some sunshine, and we continue to climb heading toward next week. Kyle, how about that? Next Friday, already looking ahead, 70 degrees. I like it.
It's okay. It's all right.
Okay.
It's okay.
That's all I get?
Yeah, that's all right. I appreciate the effort. Hey, no, I appreciate the effort.
A for effort.
All right,
always.
thanks, Danielle. So our Becky Ditchfield was featured on the Today Show this morning. How cool is that? She wasn't just pointing at the weather map and telling you it's going to rain. She made the Today Show for pointing out bullying and telling everybody in America that she don't have to take it anymore. We've told you how Becky backed down some body shamers who were saying that her baby bump blocked the weather map. Her tongue-in-cheek math and science lesson for those haters got attention across America. And this morning, Becky shared more about how she fought through the shamers adding stress to her pregnancy.
For you, this has got to be something, and especially because I know you're going through a little bit of a difficult pregnancy. So this really could affect you.
Yeah, so I'm high risk. I'm actually very open about that. I have a rare uterine malformation. I have, instead of one uterus, I have two. So I'm actually really high risk of going into labor very early that we have to watch out for. That puts a lot of stress on me. Then there's all of the hormones that go into pregnancy. So the last thing you want to worry about is what you're wearing on TV and what people are thinking about how you look. But it happens, and you just have to get through it the best way that you can. But you have to deal with that up here in your mind first before you can deal with the people out there.
Our friend and colleague Becky Ditchfield is providing a powerful lesson that ignoring the trolls is not always the best strategy. That emotional self-defense is important. You know, just like telling somebody they aren't allowed to put their hands on you, you know? Stay clear. And while society has an understanding of the concept that you're going to suffer consequences if you make inappropriate comments to somebody in public, a lot of us have put up with it in private for far too long. Becky shows that sometimes it is worth dragging a troll out into the light so that everybody can see and say, you know what? You don't speak for most of us. Your cruelty, it's got no power here. This week on Nest, the bird drama has been flocking intense. So let's finish up our impromptu bird week with some love for the single fowl out there. This turkey was stopping traffic on 285 near Bailey. Wyatt Thomas captured video of somebody out there trying to shoo the bird off the highway, but the bird didn't care. It was still just doing bird stuff. Colorado Parks and Wildlife took a look at the video and says, yeah, turkey's probably just out there looking for food. During mating season, they tend to feed and roost in one area. And even though apparently this turkey has been on 285 a couple of times, or a turkey that looks just like it, CPW says it will not relocate a turkey because they can just fly back.
In a competition to be the last one standing, some CSU athletes take a different approach.
This is a chance I can practice my belly flops.
And man, we could use your good news on this gloomy looking day. How lucky are we that it's next?
A lot of people watching college basketball this week. My colleague Ann Herbst caught me watching some last night at my desk. Ann was trying to work hard next door, as always. This morning, Ann got up early to go check out a sport that doesn't get as much attention. Lumberjack sports.
A little bit more. A little bit more, guys. All right, steady the log there. Let's steady.
A champion has all sorts of qualities.
Throw your poles.
Grit. Determination.
Oh, dude, this ought to be a really good one. Hold on.
And in the case of whatever this is, the willingness to eat it.
Whoa! Oh, boy. So what are we doing? So this is called burling. It's also known as log rolling.
It's one of many events this week.
So we finished all our chopping events and our sawing events yesterday.
At the American Western Forestry Club's conclave in Fort Collins.
All the events come out of things that actually were done in the logging woods.
Practice, 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 then should make perfect.
Colorado State University's logging sports team is a bit behind in that category.
This is my first time, actually. I've actually never really done key log rolling before, so this will be a first time for me as well.
We don't have access to our school's pool facilities or anything, so throw your poles. Time.
At least these first-timers are giving everyone at Open Swim at Mulberry Pool a good show.
It's a lederhosen that my grandma sent to me, and I'm very happy about it. I don't really think a champion is here to win. They're just here to have fun.
Maybe that's all it takes to be a champion. Someone just willing to roll with it. For next, this is Ann Herbst.
I love all the folks at the senior swim. They're like, what is going on over there? CSU did not win the burling event. No surprise to anybody, especially not them. The whole series of events also includes chopping and tree climbing and chainsaw stuff, and I promise you, they are better at those. The most Colorado thing we've seen today is a pig hanging with a new crew. Kirsten Cordova in East Parker says the pig's been on the loose for a couple of weeks now. He's been running with a herd of deer in the Mountain View Ranch neighborhood near Delbert and County Line Road. Okay, that's cool. You know, go with it. Listen, he's found a new crew. He's happier there. Share the most Colorado thing you've seen using the hashtag HeyNext or email next@9news.com. If you are not quite feeling this whole weekend snow thing, we have Happy on the way with your good news next. Each Friday around here ends with a high note and a question. What's your good news? Asked Amber Larson, who proved you can be girly in a burly competition. 5-foot-tall student from Flathead Community College in Montana was the champion of the women's burling competition at CSU today.
I won!
That's her good news. Blake Common says his good news is that his daughter's dog is back home in Castle Rock thanks to a good neighbor. She spotted a little runaway when she was out for a dentist appointment. She took Trooper along to the dentist and brought him home afterwards.
Thank you for finding the Trooper for us. Thank you for finding Trooper for us.
It's great. And we have Jess Dillon as well. Jess is a viewer who emailed in this photo, says she's celebrating 1 year since her liver transplant, living happy and healthy. That is wonderful to hear, Jess. Jack writes in, today's Next is a social evangelism edition. A lot of good stories to think on. I kind of like that. A lot to think about today, though, Jack. DeAndrea Carter writes in about the situation going on with teens taking their own lives in our community. She says, parents, have those hard conversations. Kids, be open to your parents. And families, we need to check on each other and our mental health. Therapy's good. There is a tomorrow, she writes, but we have to help each other get there. Isn't that the truth? We'll see you next time.